Hey guys, welcome back. So as you may have seen with one of our recent videos with Jared Christmas, he recommended an up and coming comedian, Maisie Adams.
Hello.
So you recently moved from Yorkshire to Brighton, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
How are you finding it?
I absolutely love it. It's so lovely. I moved just under a year ago, and it's, don't get me wrong, like I loved Leeds. Leeds was like my closest city, but I actually lived in quite a rural area. And Brighton's just, I moved because I wanted more opportunities for getting into the stand-up circuit. And Brighton is literally just this like hub of creativity, and everyone's like passionate about pursuing things that maybe aren't the standard sort of job where, you know, everybody sort of takes the unconventional route, and I quite like that. And being so well, like it's so easy to go out and do gigs now. Now I live in Brighton. When I lived up north, it was great, but let's say I started, especially after winning So You Think You're Funny, I started getting gigs that were mainly down south of London and around there 2-3 times a week. So you ended up going down to London at short notice on the train, and then saying to my mates, like, listen, can I stay on your sofa again? And my mates are amazing, but there's only so many times you can be like, can I stay on your sofa again for the third time in a fortnight? So I knew I had to move down south, but London didn't appeal to me at all, and it still doesn't. There's loads of very successful comedians that live here, and they've all said, "Oh, I wouldn't move out of Brighton. It's fantastic when the trains work."
So you were saying about winning So You Think You're Funny.
Yeah.
That's quite a big thing considering you've only sort of been in the public eye for 2 years.
Yeah, well, when I won that, I'd been doing stand-up for 7 months.
Really?
Yeah, so I did my first gig in October 2016, and then So You Think You're Funny was August 2017. But you have your heat for it in, I think, something like May.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'd been going a couple of months and sort of getting my flow and getting feeling it, just at various open mics around Yorkshire. And I thought, like, is there a newcomer competition? So I googled comedy newcomer competitions, and that was the one that came up top.
Yeah.
And I read the list of winners, and honestly, it was like my DVD collection of comedy heroes.
Yeah, the likes of Peter Kay and Lee Mack, isn't it?
Yeah. It was incredible. I just was like, right, well, that's clearly a competition that has a very big standing in the industry, and I genuinely, it's hard to say it now because I've won it. It looks like you're being facetious, but I did genuinely enter it to sort of see what level I was at. I thought, well, if I could get to a semi-final, that would tell me that I'm good to a degree, you know, and it might encourage me to do other things. So I did my heat, and the great thing about So You Think You're Funny is that they don't tell you straight after your heat who's through and who's not. So you all just do your 7 minutes, and then they go, great, wonderful, we'll be in touch with whoever in the next couple of months. So there's no pressure. Nobody's going to be announced as the winner or not going through that night. And I had a lovely gig, and then about 2 months later, it was in July, and I was working on a mobile bar in Millennium Square in Leeds, serving Pimm's to people watching the Wimbledon on the big screen. And I got the phone call saying, "Oh, you've got through to the semi-final." I thought, brilliant. And honestly, I was happy with that. I was happy with the semi-final. I couldn't believe it. That's going to be amazing. Yeah. And I was genuinely just excited. I'd never been to Edinburgh Fringe before, so I booked a couple of days off work to just do the final, and then book loads of shows for the next day, because I didn't think I'd win. I thought that would be a nice thing to take your mind off it, go and see your comedy heroes. So I booked all the shows I was excited to see, and then obviously it turned out that I won, and it came from that. And that's where a lot more, I guess, lucrative offers came through. And then I found myself on gigs, on lineups that were with people who I really aspired to be like, and that kind of pushes you to improve your standard and really like hone in, you know, your set and make sure it's of the calibre that you're on the lineup with. You
had a show in January, didn't you, in Soho?
Yeah, so that was my debut that I went to Edinburgh with. So part of the prize for So You Think You're Funny, because it's run by Gilded Balloon, is they say, well, we'll put your show on at our venue, and it's a massive venue. So I was like, brilliant. And I wrote this show. It was called Vague, and and did it at the Gilded Balloon every day of the Fringe, and then Soho Theatre took it on. They really liked it, so they put me on for a run as part of their Newcomer season. So everybody that was nominated for Best Newcomer got a run at Soho.
You've done acting in the past, haven't you?
Yeah, I did a degree in drama in what's technically acting and community theatre. And that was what I was really passionate about at school was drama.
Do you find that your past with acting has helped with confidence and things like that? Like, do you get nervous before?
Still get nervous, definitely. I was having this conversation the other day. Still get nervous, and I think the day I don't get nervous is the day I would really worry, because I think nerves are good. I think they kind of
it's excitement.
Yeah, and they let you know that it matters. Yeah. You don't get nervous about things that don't matter to you. And if you care about stand-up, you'll get nervous about it because you want to do well. And I think if you don't get nervous, you're kind of complacent. You're like, oh well, you know, it is what it is. Every gig I get nervous, but definitely with the confidence thing. Because I was chatting to my boyfriend the other day who didn't go to uni, and because I don't do anything really to do with my degree, I was saying about whether or not it was worthwhile. And I do think I took a lot away from my uni experience that wasn't necessarily just to do with the drama degree. I think I got that realisation that if you want something, don't rely on other people for it. Just go out and do it yourself.
So earlier this week you were recording something, weren't you? It was Next Up Comedy?
Yeah, so it was Vague again. It was that show, but for Next Up Comedy. They're like a streaming. So they're described as the Netflix of stand-up because they're a streaming service that's just exclusively stand-up specials. So it was really fun to do, and it was quite different. I didn't expect it to be so different because you're doing stand-up, which is in itself such a spontaneous, in-the-moment thing. If something happens in the crowd, you pick up on it and you run with it like that. And I was very aware that it was being filmed, so whatever happened that night was what was going to be out in the recording. So it was quite a fun challenge because it's lucky it was a really good gig. But I ended up sort of doing like the show as it normally is, but constantly being like, okay, don't fluff your words, because you can't be like, sorry, can we just do that again? It's all filmed in one continuous thing. So I was very much like, right, you've got this bit of material coming up now, don't fluff the words. You've fluffed your words on this bit before, come on, like.
So you're also on something at the moment called Stand Up.
The stand-up sketch show. Yeah.
Tell me about that. What's it like reenacting things from your past?
So they take comedians who've got anecdotes as part of their stand, you know, not necessarily one-liners, but people who've got. So I was in the park the other day, like those sorts of anecdotes, and it starts with us in the comedy club. We recorded it in a comedy club to a live audience, and it'll start with us telling the story, and then cut to us like reenacting that scene.
Sounds brilliant.
And it was really good fun because, again, it was all on you. I knew the material inside out, so when we were reenacting it, I had faith in it. Do you know what I mean? You're not looking at a script going, I don't know about that. Like, it was literally what I'd written and I'd performed and I knew worked. So I was like, right, let's reenact it. And everybody, it was just one of those experiences where you couldn't have asked it to be nicer because everyone worked really hard.
Yeah.
Everyone was really passionate about it. It's its first season, so everybody really wants it to work, you know, and everyone wants a good feedback from it.
We picked up recently on what you doing your piece on epilepsy. You
Yeah.
have an epilepsy.
Yeah.
And but how does that affect you with your work?
I mean,
how does
so
it
the thing,
impact you?
the way it came around was I wanted to do my first show for Edinburgh, and because I'm new, I thought the show should be sort of quite introductory and telling people about myself. I like quite relatable humour. My favourite humour is like what you're saying about Peter Kay, and basically any humour where you're sat there watching it and nudging the person next to you going, that's you do that, all that. I realised I had all those relatable experiences, but from my perspective it was with somebody who also had epilepsy, and some of the more reckless experiences, like going out, getting drunk for the first time, or going to festivals, or going on holiday to like Zante, without your parents before. All of those to try and do when you're young are great, but when you're young and you've got epilepsy, which by its nature, because it's quite unpredictable, you're often told to not drink a lot of alcohol, to not stay out too late and get up early the next morning. Like, you sort of need to just have your brain in the best condition it is to get minimum sort of 8 hours sleep. And that was the total so like those two experiences, the epilepsy and all of this reckless youth antics, were at loggerheads a bit when I was growing up. So I kind of explored that. I don't really tend to talk about it when it's not in comedy.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's something on me, but I'm definitely one of those people that if there's something, a big topic to talk about, I want to make it funny because then it's easier to talk about. It's more accessible, both for me and the person to listen. That was amazing as well. I don't want a pity party.
No,
because also it's not a pity party. It doesn't hold me back at all.
Clearly.
It doesn't, and it doesn't override my life. It's very. I'm very lucky in that it's by and large controlled, providing I look after myself.
So who are your inspirations in comedy?
Straight away my mind goes to Victoria Wood, obviously. I just think she was so clever with how she wrote, but also when you watch her clips, if you go on YouTube and she does those studio performances like the Victoria Wood show, this is in the 1980s or late 70s in some of them, and her audience, when you look at it, is pretty 50-50 male female.
Yeah.
And when it cuts to the audience, it's not just the women who are laughing. And I think back then, especially, we know that the culture was a lot more sexist than it is now.
Yeah.
And she's making comedy from a female perspective relatable to everybody in the room. And then I'd say my favourite comedians now that if they come to Brighton, I'm dragging my boyfriend to come see. I love Tom Allen, who he's been like on the circuit for a while, but he's recently just started getting a lot of TV, so people are really starting to like pick up on him. But the way he tells a story is genuinely, he reminds me of like that person you wanted to sit next to at class because you knew that you'd just mess about at the back. He's so funny. And again, the way that he tells a story, it really just paints this picture in your head, and he's got an amazing delivery. And now, I'll turn up to a gig. Sometimes I don't know the lineup when I turn up to a gig. I walk into the green room, and there's actual, like, heroes that this time 2.5 years ago, I was spending my wages on a ticket to go and see. And now, they're like, should we go and have a drink after this and have a chat about... It's mental. I just get to hang out with absolute heroes of mine. It's the best job in the world.
Can you think of any upcoming talent that you could recommend to our viewers?
Yes. There's a guy called Joe Hobbs who was in my Amuse Moose final. He's 6'9", I think.
Crikey.
Yeah, 6'9" with like proper curly hair on top. So he's very distinctive. He's very good. He's just got his delivery and his style all sussed out.
Yeah.
You know, and you can sometimes tell like people are still working there, working out their style. He's got it, and he works really hard, which I think is actually what sets apart in the you know, when I've been coming up these last 2 years, there's been people who are just sort of turn up with their bit and they're like, right, we'll do that, and then there's people who really, they'll write down afterwards which bits did well and which bits didn't well, and they adapt it for the next one, and they're constantly working hard. And I think Joe is one of those. I think there's quite a lot actually. Esther Benito is a brilliant comic. She's half Lebanese, and she has some great material about being an Arab woman in Britain. And she was in my So You Think You're Funny final. So most of the ones I'm recommending are ones that I find myself in these sort of newcomer
You're moving along with
them,
yeah.
And it's really nice to have those sorts of peers coming up with you. Chloe Petts, that's who I'd say as well. Chloe Petts, who is just like laugh out loud funny.
So what's next with you?
I've got to write a new show for Edinburgh, which is great. You know, it's just fantastic to have that opportunity. And that's what I have to keep reminding myself again is, you know, you're incredibly lucky to be doing this. But with it being a second show, and with my first one being thankfully very successful, there is that sort of difficult second album syndrome I'm having at the moment of like, was I just a one-trick pony? Was that first show just like, was that really good? What's my second show going to be? Especially because my first show was like an introduction to me, so I knew where I was at with it. I was like, well, I'm telling them about me, and I don't know anything better than myself. So with the second one, it's like more sort of what have I got to say about things. I'm in Utrecht this weekend, and then Amsterdam the weekend after that, just doing a fair few gigs. In fact, Amsterdam, I'm supporting Zoe Lyons, who's Brighton based. So that's really lovely. Again, Zoe Lyons was someone who like I would go and watch when she came to Leeds, and now, like, I did a gig with her the other week, and she was like, "Well, if you ever want to go for a pint and just chat stuff over," I'm like, I used to pay £20 to come see your show, and now you're asking me to go for a pint. Like, it's mental. But yeah, just more gigging. I just want to gig as much as I can and get as good as I can, as fast as I can. So that's all I'm focused on, is gigging as much as possible.
Brilliant. Well, I absolutely love your stuff, and I'm looking
Thank
forward
you.
to it. I'm going to be definitely coming to see
just
you.
let me know.
Unfortunately, our other host couldn't be here today. She would have really loved it.
Wow.
But yeah, we'll
She
bring
missed
her.
out.
Yeah, she did. We're going to bring her along as well. We'll
Brilliant,
come and have a watch. But thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And don't forget to like and subscribe, guys, and comment down below, and follow any of your social media accounts.
It's just Maisie Adam on everything. So.
There you go. Easy to remember. Bye, guys. See you next week.
Bye.